Ladies, have you been wanting to make a change, but you don't feel ready? Here's the truth. Readiness is a lie. The model of confidence for women is backward, and we need to flip it. I'm Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of a new book, Big Freaking Change. After coaching thousands of women, I discovered action gives us confidence, not the other way around. If we wait to feel ready, we'll wait forever. So if you're ready to get unstuck and step into the life you've always dreamed about, visit bigfreakinchange.com right now and order your copy. Welcome to the Big Freaking Change podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of those who took bold action, embraced uncertainty, and transformed their lives without ever feeling ready. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of The Big Freaking Change and the creator of the Get Unstuck Cycle of Change model. Each week, we'll sit down with remarkable individuals who have taken bold steps in their lives, personally and professionally, to make meaningful change. Whether you're seeking a career shift, personal growth, or a boost in confidence, our goal is to inspire you to stop waiting and start taking action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Freaking Change. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, and I'm so delighted to be here with mi amiga, mi hermana, mi mamacita para mi vida, Cecilia Martinez.
Hey, I love you so much.
Bienvenido.
Thanks for having me here.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
So Ceci and I go way back, you guys. Ceci was an exchange student to one of my friends in elementary, and I got to meet her then. And then we became friends since grade 6, and we've been in touch. And then recently we got to connect again. I'm going to share Ceci's story and her brilliance that she brings to the conversation today. Ceci is a neurodivergent mother of 3, an attorney with 2 master's degrees, a law professor, and a health coach with a deep expertise in gluten-free living. Her work is rooted in celebrating differences, whether through her role as manager or empowering others to embrace their unique journeys. She navigates the worlds of law, business, and neurodiversity with resilience, authenticity, and an unwavering commitment to honoring human potential. That's why you are so amazing, Ceci, is because you honor human potential and you see people for who they are, and you have such a great heart, great soul, and you make change in the world. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. This is amazing. As you said, we go way back. I was a very scared Mexican girl in Canada. We were in Calgary, and I wasn't supposed to talk to my parents. And Kara was like, yeah, if you want to call your parents, you can do it. Come on. So she encouraged me when I was so scared. It was the first time that I left my family, and I just met, she was a little girl, and she was so brilliant and so brave and so empowering. And I'm like, who is she? I want to be her friend. And since ever then, you know how much I admire you. I never thought you were not going to be successful as you are. But honestly, my expectations were so short. You are way beyond what anyone could imagine. And I just want to say you how much you are an inspiration to girls. My daughter, me, my sister, she met you a while ago and she's like, Kira's amazing. Wow, I love her book. And you know, sometimes she just quotes part of your book to me whenever I feel like I'm stuck. She's like, Cecilia, read this part of the book. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. So thank you for doing this for everyone that needs help. So here I just want to tell you about my story, about my son. What happened when we got this diagnosis, it was one of the hardest part of my life. The hardest part, honestly, because you have to mourn the son you thought you were having. I thought he was going to be able to do anything he wants. And then you have this diagnosis and they tell you, he's not going to be able to do this. He's not going to be able to do that. And you know that something I learned, a diagnosis is not a prognosis. A diagnosis is not your future. Diagnosis is just that. When they told me what my son was going to be capable of doing back in 2019, guess what? Nothing is what they told us. And that's why I can tell you that even though I was not ready to be a mom for an autistic boy, guess what? I was. I took the leap of faith. I read the books I needed to read. I talked to the doctors I needed to talk. I work on myself because if I must be honest, I was so depressed. There was this time in my life when my son, my oldest one, I think he was 6 years. And I cried all the time because I didn't know how was life going to be. I was mourning the death of my son. he was not physically dead, but the idea, the expectation I had for him. So I was mourning that loss, and I was going through a crappy marriage. I was not supported, and it was just so hard, and I cried all the time. And one day, Alejandro, my son, told me, "Mom, are you ever going to smile again?" And I said, "No, Alex, I'm not going to smile again." And he was like, "What?" His knees bent and he just fell to the floor and he started crying. And I saw my little boy broken because me, his mom, was never going to smile again. And I'm like, what am I doing, Cecilia? You need to stop. You need to get your feet on the ground and pick up the pieces. And I did. So I went to therapy. I started reading as many books as I could, and I pick everything, and I'm rebuilding myself. We're in constant change, so this is a part where we always change. But I just want to make people to understand that for me, being Danny's mom has taught me how to be human, how to be more empowering, encouraging, and also the power of vulnerability. I mean, I wasn't even able to let people see how vulnerable I was because I was like this strong woman. See, I put this because I always tell my kids that I'm the fierce lioness for them. So I'm a lioness. My cell phone, that's my phone, because I'm the lioness for them. I'm always going to be fighting for them. And that is what makes them feel like, okay, I'm protected by my mom, but I was never able to be vulnerable. And raising me, I got diagnosed also in this process. I got diagnosed, which I understand now many things about me. After going to therapy, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and sometimes my psychology tell me that I have many autistic traits. So I don't know if I'm autistic or not. They'll still gonna I don't know, they're gonna be doing some other tests, but that doesn't matter. The thing is, I'm learning to accept myself, be vulnerable, and let my kids see that everyone is vulnerable and it's okay. Just as you said at the beginning, I love people for who they are, and I like to see the best in humankind, in everyone. And when you are able and open to see the good in people, it's just like a mirror. You see good in people and they reflect good, they actually reflect good things to you. So that's something that Danny, in this process, he has taught me.
I love that, Ceci. And, you know, it's so important that when we get a diagnosis or we get a label or we get a stigma that, you know, we're not feeling proud of, there's some shame involved in that. And the most important thing is when we can embrace all aspects of ourselves, it's our work for our entire life, right? We don't get to this place where we love every single thing about us and our lives and all of that, but it's the work of the unfolding. And I think sometimes when life happens, not in the way you planned, right? You do have to grieve that son that you thought you were going to have. And now you've like embraced this beautiful new chapter and you're an advocate for neurodiversity. And I think that's so brave and that's so bold. And even just hanging out with you in Mexico after you were like, I have ADHD, I'm like, oh, I'm sure if you have it, then I have it. And we were like laughing. I'm like, oh, you do that? I do that. And we're just laughing. And it wasn't like a negative thing at all. So thank you for showing up the way you do. Ceci, I want you to share a little bit of your biggest freaking change that you went through and if you felt ready to do it.
Well, I mean, there have been so many changes, but we are never ready. I don't know if you know or heard about Stoics.
No.
No? Okay. So I love Stoicism. And there's philosophy from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and different philosophers, Greek philosophers. The thing is, there's this phrase, Marcus Aurelius in this book, he said, how do you say it in English? Don't be overheard complaining about things. So not even to yourself. So the thing is, yeah, things happen. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but don't complain. Just embrace it. And things, in my experience, they're not good or bad. It is how you face them that actually makes them what you want them to be. So I remember, as I told you a while ago, I was going through a marriage, and in Mexico, which is a very traditional country, and divorce is not so accepted. And it's not only the country. For me, when I got married, I never thought I was going to get a divorce. I mean, I was going to be married for my whole life, and that's what I wanted. My parents were married, and I was going to follow this, the steps of the perfect family, the perfect picture, the perfect kids, and everything. And then, I mean, it was very hard for me to accept that things were not what I had put in my perfect picture. So it was a picture I had in my mind, but it was not what it was actually showing in the real life. And just being able to accept that my picture was not my life. It took a lot of courage to accept this difference, but then I said, okay, what am I going to do with this? I'm not happy. My kids are not happy, and we're suffering. When Danny got diagnosed, It was for his father, it was shameful. Like, oh, don't tell anyone he's autistic. Please don't tell anyone. I don't want him to get a label. And I was like, cannot. I mean, you cannot cover the sun with a finger. It was so clear and obvious. And instead of being ashamed of him, I was so proud. And I'm still proud. He's the most independent person in my house. He is always making funny jokes. He's laughing all the time. For me, if you tell me who's going to be the most successful person in my family of my 3 kids, I can tell you Danny. He's amazing at school. He's so funny. He's independent. He's always taking care of everyone. Like, are you okay? I wasn't ready to divorce. And I said, okay, take a leap. And divorcing in my case was moving from another city. I had my house in San Luis Potosí. It was moving back to my home city, which is in Monterrey. So I had to pack my house. I had to say goodbye to my good friends. I had to say goodbye to my memories. I had to say goodbye to Cecilia, the married Cecilia, the wife, the everything. And just, I left her there and I said, okay, so this is a new me. I'm ready. I mean, I wasn't ready, honestly. And I'm still not ready. But the thing is, I did it. And I'm so happy that I did it. I can see my kids, they're amazingly, they thrive, they flourish. They're so much happier than they were there. And they are like that because I'm in a much better place. I'm a better person. I'm a better mom. I'm happy. I work. I teach. I went back to teaching. Just being a professor, just being with all these students. I love teaching my students. And I just got my reviews and they're like, what do you enjoy the most of your teacher? She makes me reflect on myself and have critical thinking. And that's what I always keep telling my students. What do you think about this? What do you want to do with this? Because sometimes teachers just teach, but don't actually get the time to make students apprehend the knowledge. So I always work with them in that way. That is exactly the most important thing for me to get rated. And I got 9.8 in critical thinking and reflection. So I'm like, okay, I did good in this semester and makes me feel good about that. And thank you for asking regarding if we're able to do the changes. It was a big freaking change because yes, it was before and after in my life. I can tell you that part. And the other part in Mexico, women usually don't work, don't do many things because we're moms and we should be all the time with your kids and cooking and baking a trad wife. And I was never a trad wife. I love to study. I love to do things. I love to work. I love everything. And I decided I wanted to do a master, my second master, as I told you, and I did it. And part of my master, I had to go to study to Rome because there's UN, it's in human rights, and it was UN and everything was in Rome. So I had to take the decision if I wanted to leave my kids. Well, it was just only 2 months because it was intensive and move to Rome. And I was like, it can't be that, Mom, I'm going to leave my kids. What's going to happen with them? And oh no, they're gonna miss me so much because we're so close. And I said, I need to do this because I want them to see their mom has a life of her own. Their mom has dreams, expectations, and I want to grow as a human too. And that was the example I gave them. Like, yes, you can be a mom, but you can also be a woman, a mother, a student. So I did it because of them. I wanted to set that example. If I'm being honest, I had to take pills on the plane because I was feeling so ashamed that I was leaving my family, my kids, and I was breaking all the rules. So I had to be medicated because I couldn't cope with my anxiety. And while I was there, maybe the first week was awful. But they were not alone. I talked to them all the time. We were in video. I was with them at school. I ate with them at dinner. I told bedtime stories. So I was present too. And my daughter, she's like, Mama, you are the greatest. When I came back, she's like, I can't believe you did this. You're amazing. And you have to hear my kids talk about me as the mom that went to the UN, and they see the pictures and they're like, my mom is the best. So yes, it was a hard decision for me, but I can tell you those 2 steps. First, I took the decision to do something for me, my master's, move to Rome, and then go back. That was the start of my big freaking change. And the second, that gave me the strength I needed and to see that, yeah, I can do it on my own. And then I got a divorce. And Cara, sometimes we think we're not ready, but we are. And as you said, it's just a state of being. And yes, through the process, you are ready. So thank you for asking that. I just want people to know that if you have a dream in your life, don't let fear stop you, because that's the worst. You can do it, and everybody can do anything they want. Just take the little step, the first step. And there's always, like, every journey starts with a first step. So take the
Yes.
first step, the little one, just move, and you'll be able to do it later. Little by little, you'll build up the courage, the confidence, the money, anything you need to build your dreams. And you know, you are in a place in your life that you are an achiever, overachiever. And how did you start your dreams? Just
Yeah.
think about your book. How did you start it?
Well, I always knew I was going to write a book, Ceci. Even in high school, my friends would be like, "You're going to be a motivational speaker and write a book." And I'd be like, "Ha ha ha." And then in adulthood, people would tell me that too. And I always had this idea of like, yeah, one day I'm going to write a book. And it was actually one of my best friends that was in her final stage of life with cancer, and she said to me, why are you waiting? And it hit me really hard. She's like, I have no time. Like, you have time. Like, why are you waiting? And I had 3 young children, super invested in my family and my work, and I was like, I can't imagine, like, I don't have enough energy or time or money. And we have these excuses, and what I've learned in my journey is that we just don't talk about them enough. People see success and think that, oh, there's something special about that person, or they had it really easy, or they had some great luck. But life happens to all of us. And it is through taking the steps that we develop our confidence and we feel ready after. So most people hold back when they have to make a decision that's really hard. And sometimes the hardest decision is the right decision, right? So it is hard leaving your children for 2 months. And it gave you back like this strength and this courage and this confidence. And now you're doing incredible things. And that's a real story. There are stigmas around different cultures and our roles as women. And I talk about that in the book, that we haven't had a lot of other generations that have had women that come before us that are doing, 2 master's degree, a professor, you're a lawyer, like you're so knowledgeable and you now want to go on to get your PhD. And there's
I've been
really no.
accepted in 3 universities, you know that.
Yes.
3.
So like think of that. That's inspiration for everyone. So talk to me about what not neurodivergent people would love to see when we're talking about making change. So making change to how we treat them, what we think about them, and really like bridging the gap. So there is no shame around it.
Yes.
We're accepting differences in people, whether they're neurodivergent or not. But talk to me about what you would like to see as an advocate for neurodivergent individuals and making change.
Okay, first of all, radical love. That's it. Radical love. Love a person no matter what. Because you don't know what's going behind. We are so good at masking our emotions, our feelings, our ideas. And it's not good, but that's what we do. I mean, we're trained in society, hide your feelings, and it's not okay. People shouldn't see you're suffering, just smile. And you know that about me. For me, it's pretty hard because I'm always been this strong person. And it's hard when I go with my friends and I'm not able to share good things. So I will just hide. When I'm not okay, I will just hide on my own until I'm okay. Because I don't like people seeing me not okay. Because I'm usually happy and cheery and smiley and helping people. And I feel I'm not going to be of value if I'm not able to provide that support people are used to get from me. So that is not radical love. I should accept me in all my phases, in all my seasons, in the good parts, in the bad parts, because I accept my friends and my family in all seasons, good or bad. So that is what we should be having for each other. But for me, as I told you, it's a process of learning and accept me as not strong as I thought that I am in some parts of my life. It's just a phase or a minute or a season. So what am I trying to do regarding this? So I have this project called Plus One. I'm working on it. That's part of my life mission. I want to show people. I don't use the word autistic that much. I use neurodivergence. Why? Because it is so big. It's a spectrum. 2012, Asperger was not part of the autism spectrum, and now it is. And maybe in the future, we'll be taking out my own son, Daniel. He's DUP 15. So per se, he's not autistic, but they just put DUP 15 under the autism spectrum. He has a gene duplication. ADHD, it was part of the spectrum. Now it's not, now it is. So it just, things changes all the time. So it's not the label. It is what it is. People need help. Neurodivergence. You have a different way of looking at things. Yes. So I'm not trying to romanticize things. It's not. It's just, I don't want people to accommodate. I feel sometimes they're like, oh, he's autistic or she's whatever. So let's accommodate. And it's not about accommodation. It's about perspective. There's a different perspective. There's a different center. It's not, oh, I'll make everything so you can feel okay in this little corner. And I don't want that. I aspire for inclusion. That's what I'm always fighting: inclusion, not tolerance. My son has in his classroom, there's this boy, he's autistic, and he's in his little corner with his shadow teacher. I don't know if you have shadow teachers or not in Canada, but it's a teacher that is just with you. And he's not actually playing with the boys. He's not doing the things the other boys are doing because he's with his teacher, and school asks for that teacher. Daniel, my son, he cannot have a shadow teacher. He hates it. He's like, Mama, I don't want anyone to see me different. I am who I am. And I remember when he was younger, I would say, Alex, Luisana, and my son Daniel. He's special. And he was like, when he could talk, he's like, Mama, why are you telling that I'm special? If you say I'm special, say Luisana and Alex are special too. So why are you making this difference about me? And I'm like, he's right. Yeah, everybody's special. So yeah, he's different, but I don't need to make that different. And I was just talking to my aunts and uncles on Sunday. We were having lunch here and we were talking. And there was this uncle who said, oh, yeah, this guy, the one who has this Down syndrome son. And I was like, why do we need to put labels? Why do you say Down syndrome son? Why didn't you say his son? Or why do you need to say the autistic? Oh, yeah, the one who has an autistic son. 3 kids, that's it. No label, no difference. Just look at the people who they are. Danny always tells me, Mom, I wish people could see me for who I am. I always tell him, Danny, you're perfect the way you are. Don't be ashamed of who you are. And he said, Mom, it's so easy for you to say that. But imagine you're entering an Apple store and everyone has Apple and you are a pear, like a fruit pear.
Pear, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I feel like that, Mom. I'm the pear and everybody is an apple. So don't tell me that I am amazing. I'm different. And that's when I said, okay, so I need to validate his feelings because that is how he's feeling. It's real because we're in a society that people feel like, oh, it's a burden. You have an autistic son. It's not that I hate, but when people say, oh, you're so amazing, only you could do that because you like to read so much. I couldn't have a son like that. He wouldn't be so good. It's just for people like that. You are amazing for having that son. What? So I'm being punished because I like to read, which is not a punishment. That's how they say it.
Good
So
perception.
yeah, it's a perception, but I always tell Danny how I'm so lucky to have you in my life. I wish everybody knew how amazing having a different person in their life is. So I'm advocating for that, for people to stop saying they're a burden, it's a punish, we need to accommodate. It's not accommodate. It's how can we help each other in life? Not because you're autistic, not because you have ADHD, not because you're in a wheelchair, just because we're humans. And we're supposed to be living in a community, helping each other, looking for each other. It's not like, oh, you're alone in the world and do it as you can. We're humans. So that is the big difference I want to do regarding neurodivergence. It's just radical love and acceptance. And I'm doing this, as I told you, this plus one project, which is working with different AI systems, like imagine a playbook 101 or neurodivergence for dummies for schools. It's not the school system only. It is, we're not educated. If it wasn't that I had my son, I wouldn't be educated. So why take it on somebody that they're doing what they're doing because they don't know? So I believe everything starts with education. So when people get educated, they can decide if they're still going to be ignorance and treat people different, or they can do something in favor. As I told you, I'm always aiming to be a catalyst of change because that's why we're here. Be a motor of change and don't feel stuck. Something I hate the word stagnant. Just being stagnant makes me feel like, this water on the lake, which is stagnant water. It's muddy, it's smelly. So whenever I hear the word stagnant, I remember those lakes with stagnant water. And I'm like, no, just move. Everything needs to be moving because that's where we are. We're moving humans. So yeah, that's part. And I talk a lot because of my ADHD, and sometimes I can stop. And
It's
it's
great.
part
I
of who
love
I
your
am.
energy. Yeah, I love your energy. I love how you show up. I love how we can be crazy and we can be serious and we can be smart and we can be, all of it. And you really, really hit on a point that we can have multiple emotions at once, right? We can have really great things going on in our life and we can have really hard times, in the same chapter, in the same day, in the same hour. And it's about how do we really encompass all the feelings and feel it, because we are humans and we're meant to feel emotions. Ceci, to wrap this conversation up, I'd love to know your definition of courage and how can we be more courageous in life?
Okay, for me, courage is doing things even though you're afraid, even though people tell you you shouldn't be doing them. just because you're being true to yourself. For me, courage is being true to whatever you feel it's right for you without the expectations. Just follow your heart, follow your greatest passion. That is courage, being able to follow what really excites you. That has been for me my source of courage, my excitement. Whenever I feel like this in my tummy, like, yeah, I'm always trying to feel my body. And whenever something happens and I get all these butterflies, oh yeah, that's the right way. And that's how I'm trying to find what really makes me happy instead what people should make you happy. And I'm listening to myself. So courage for me has been listening to what really makes me happy and makes my passion. And that's what makes me be not stuck. My big freaking change. That is my motor in my life.
Yes, I love that. And Ceci, I love this conversation because you're right. We are not educated. There is a gap. There's more people being diagnosed. There's, a little bit of resistance to it, not because of ignorance. Sometimes it can be ignorance, but it's a lack of education and worried about saying the wrong thing. And I think you hit it so well that it's about radical love. It's about inclusion. We don't need to accommodate. We need to accept our own selves, right? Because we all have so many differences and we show up different ways for different people and different events. And when we can get more comfortable with ourselves, we can live in a stronger community that lifts people up and accepts differences, no matter the hardship, no matter the decision, no matter the culture. And I just see you as such a bright light, filled with energy, filled with hope, knowledge, and inspiration. So thank you for being with us today, Ceci. And to all of our listeners, I want you to ask yourself, what is something that you can feel or process to embrace yourself more? How can you be a little bit more inclusive with the people in your life that are different than you? Because it's the differences and it's the contrast that makes things really beautiful. So thank you all. And remember to take the next right step. Momentum comes through taking action. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would be so grateful if you could share it with someone else that could benefit from it. Let's remember to change our relationship to change itself and take aligned action. If we want to make meaningful changes in our lives, we need to embrace stepping into the next version of ourselves in the process. Remember, stop waiting to feel ready and start taking action today.